Okay, so that breakout kind of activity was supposed to unlock our thinking for this session. So now I will do the formal introduction. So hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for coming. My name is Emily Tomford. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the computer science coordinator at the California Department of Education. My background is in the teaching and the administration and the curriculum development and industry, and I am all about computer science as a tool for empowering our students to be creators rather than just consumers in this digital world. Who has, by show of hands, who has heard of the state computer science standards? Oh, we got some people. That is very good. This is an educated room. I go into a lot of rooms where I see no hands on that question. Who has done any computer science activity in their classroom before? Tried it? Done it? Okay, excellent, excellent. So we're gonna have a kind of half and half group here probably, which is fantastic. So the point of this activity session is really around how we can use practices and time and resources from ELA to be that vehicle for getting computer science learning and engagement into school time. Because I know we have this huge new set of standards and we have no more minutes in the day in which to cover it, but the experience for children is so valuable that I think however we can arrange our time and combine our thinking and do multiple things at once is really important. So what I've done, I'm going to just try to spotlight myself here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm nice and big. I've turned off my virtual background because what I always like to start with, you know, my core visual aids that I live with every day are these. This is my cross-stitch sampler collection of all of our computer science practices from the standards. And I really love that they're arranged in a circle because they're in order of importance going from top to bottom. So when we do computer science in the classroom, the first and foremost principle that we should be including every day and every minute all the time is to foster an inclusive computing culture. And if I go into a classroom and that is happening, I kind of don't care about the rest. Like, as long as we are being inclusive around computer science and showing that it is something for everyone and something that matters to everyone and everyone's culture, then I am super happy. Secondary to those, this is where I think the ELA directly comes in. The next two standards after that are communicate about computing and collaborate around computing. So if I go into a classroom and I see kids talking and listening and writing and reading about the things they're making in computer science, again, I'm happy, right? If I hear loud kids sharing ideas, things are going viral, you know, people are looking up resources, using evidence from text to tell them how to do a thing and then telling someone else how to do the thing and saying, oh, I see, that's really cool. Can you share with me how it's done? Oh, this is great. This is great. And then after that, there's the nitty gritty computational thinking and actually making stuff that I think is secondary. I think focus on these top three: foster an inclusive culture, communicate and collaborate around computing. And so this is how we're kind of going to move forward. I would like to sort of do a demo lesson. And from that, I hope you're going to get kind of what computer science feels like, what can it feel like for K-5, you know, what types of things you would do and the types of activities and types of time you would dedicate to everything. And I'm going to do it based on a book, which is the book that I got, you know, the one beside me who's helping me think about my future. And I've got to preface this by saying, like, I've run workshops like this like hundreds of times. You know, let's use books and make artifacts and let's think and talk about evidence from text and character development and everything. But I also, in my free time, I run the computer science education reading group, which meets twice a week to read academic articles about CS Ed research and think about how we can bring this back into the classroom, how it can influence our teaching practices. And last week, I read this brilliant paper by Nicole Howard, who's actually the keynote speaker for tomorrow. And so I thought I would use that inspiration and lean in. And this paper was about freedom dreaming and using Afrofuturism and speculative fiction as a way to allow students to see themselves in the future of technology, right? To not just say, okay, kiddo, that's the way it is, but to allow them to create worlds in which they can envision themselves changing the future, a more just future in which everyone is free and has access to power. And that is one of those ways, like if we cannot dream about a future of freedom, then we cannot really even start to envision how to get there. So we're trying to start by unlocking freedom dreaming in this. I have a Padlet with all these resources I'm going to give you at the end. So meanwhile, I hope everyone can engage in whatever way they have with this lesson. So I love cameras on, and thank you so many people for putting your cameras on. Please feel free to unmute yourself at any time with a question. You're going to be the students here. So student behaviors are encouraged, right? I like interrupting. I like having an idea in the moment. I like yes and I like wait, I don't get it. So let me know in the moment. So we're going to start by reading a book. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to create some computational artifacts around dreaming of a future. So Spotlight, we're back to Spotlight. I got my book. We're going to do a read aloud in the traditional sense. Don't worry, it's a short book. So everyone, this is Serena Sees Her Footprints on the Moon by Sean Reed. Pictures by Sam Beck. 12 people have walked on the moon. Here are their footprints. Serena sees her own footprints on the moon next to theirs. Her footprints are next to the pieces of rockets that landed the astronauts there, and pieces of the rockets that launched them back home. Her footprints are next to the mirrors the astronauts left behind. Laser beams sent from Earth bounce off the mirrors and help measure how far away the moon is from us. Her footprints are next to an astronaut's family portrait lying on the surface in the dust. Serena leaves her own photo there too. Her footprints are near the boots worn by the other astronauts who walked there. New astronauts who come will bring their own boots and leave their own footprints, just like Serena has. Her footprints are near the special cars built to drive on the moon, called lunar rovers, that rest quietly, hoping for new astronauts to drive them. Serena sees her footprints on the moon. Her footprints are on the far side, the part that never faces Earth. Hers are the first footprints there. She goes where no other astronaut has ever been. Serena sees her footprints on the moon. Her footprints are near a small disk sharing greetings and languages from around the world. Her footprints are near a 6-inch golden olive branch left at Tranquility Base, a gesture of peace for all humanity. Serena sees her footprints on the moon. She leaves them there so that others who come after her will know she was there too. She leaves her footprints behind for everyone to see. That is the end of our book. Serena sees her footprints on the moon. I'm going to push this out to you guys. What did this book make you think of? You can tell me one thing you noticed or one thing it made you imagine.
I think she wants to be an astronaut.
There you go. Serena wants to be an astronaut. Anything else? Who's next? Oh, Veronica said it made them think of their solar system unit. Oh, Jenny says it made me think of leaving your mark. Right, that's an idea. Children can leave a lasting impact. Thank you, Ashlyn.
Well,
She's
I
thinking
thought
of others.
Immediately that she made me feel as though, hey, I could do that too.
You could do
you
that
know,
too.
because I saw a person of color and it, you know, it kind of pulled me right in. So that was my first thought.
Great, thank you, Charlene. What do you think your students would see in this book? Oh, Phil, you got to meet John Glenn as a child. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That can everyone imagine what can they do when they grow up? Because
Yeah.
right now, a lot of kids, they don't know how to imagine things like before. They don't want to play with stuff and say, okay, I want to do this and that because I want to, you know, and now they're on the phone all the time and they don't imagine what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. When I read this book, I think about what things might, like a different Serena, and you know, in a different time or a different classroom, right? How might Serena see herself in other futures, in other places, in other careers, doing other things? And what is difficult for her to imagine? I think, Charlene, you brought up a great point that, like, in this book, this is a little Black girl imagining herself on the moon, even though so many of the people who came before, right, so many of the astronauts, an overwhelming majority of the people who walked on the moon are white and male. And that does not mean that the only people in the future who can walk on the moon are white and male, right? I love books like this because even if the person reading it is not a Black girl, having a Black girl as the protagonist is so much more of a powerful, like, example of representation than, you know, having a little John Glenn, right? The next John Glenn, the next white man, right? So I want to bring this back to freedom dreaming. And for this, I'm going to share this Padlet. Oh, Sharisa, you're ordering that now? Excellent. Here we go. Here is a Padlet I have put together with resources for you. I'm calling it CS Loves ELA. So as we go forward, we're going to kind of iterate on this idea of freedom dreaming. And then to kind of bring that into K2 and 3-5 through creating projects with computer science. I've put a resource for you here. The National Equity Project is kind of the best explainer I have found about freedom dreaming. And I really like this quote here. When we share our freedom dreams, we participate in a type of world making that positions us as architects, engineers, and creatives of a future that we all deserve. So I want to, you know, invite you to let your students dream of that future, to engage in that kind of world building that allows themselves to be creative about the future and not just be in a, well, this is the way things are, kiddo. You know, you're going to have to work within the system. So they're going to get that enough, right? In high school. I think elementary is a great place for freedom dreaming. Also on this Padlet, I've put links for the book I read and for some other books that are recommended by Nicole Howard and by me. I love Layla and the Bots. It's about a rock star kid who builds her own robots to be her backup band, and then they go around the world and solve design thinking challenges for people around, like, creating equitable futures. It's amazing. And then also I've included the paper that I read last week, which is super, super dense. I do not recommend reading it unless you are used to reading dense academic papers already. If you are not used to that, then stick to the blog post at the top about freedom dreaming from the National Equity Project. So that's your bank of lessons, of resources, really. So I'm going to move us on to how this could go into computer science. And this is so much around creating the computational artifact. So my big question for us is, normally in ELA, we would read a book to a kid or to a group of kids or have them read the book. What would we do next with them? Like, after we've discussed the book, we've read it, we've discussed it, what action do they normally take on books? What kinds of assignments? What kinds of artifacts are they creating around books? Traditionally, you know this, comprehension, writing prompts, right? They're going to write something inspired by the book or about the book. They're going to do art about the book, interpret the art. Oh, they're going to look into the vocabulary. They're going to do graphic organizers, filling out guided explorations of the stuff in the book. Excellent. I would like to add to this inventory to create a digital artifact that retells the story. And, you know, often we'll have them, you know,
Story map.
yeah,
Right.
story map, right? Make a slideshow, right? But we can go one step further. We can have them actually code something that makes them the full creator of the artifact. They can create computational artifacts, not just digital ones. And that's the whole point of the computer science standards. It's pushing that, like, now we have access to digital literacy. We're going to push that one step forward and have computational literacy. Yeah. Ooh, a book bento. I look forward to that. All right. Ooh, make a
So what do you mean by computational literacy?
Yeah, that I'm so glad you asked that question, because I have a little game show for us to play, because we are here in a kind of Google Camp digital literacy kind of area. I want to expand our thinking to computer science. So this is a game show that I know you are not prepared for, but that is okay, because there are correct answers, there are no prizes, and there's no way of winning or losing. So I am going to need a volunteer to play this game, CS or not CS. Volunteers. I can't see you all the time, so you gotta have to unmute yourself to be a volunteer.
I'll volunteer.
Thank you. Who's just said that? Tell me your name.
Aaron Lipson.
Aaron. Wonderful, Aaron. Thank you so much. Okay, come on down, Aaron. We're going to play the game show CS or not CS, the way you play
All right.
this game. So I'm going to list out a thing, and you're going to tell me if it is CS, right? If it's computer science, if it belongs in this circle, or if it is not CS, which is not to say it is not useful. It could
Right.
be, this is useful, but it is digital literacy. It is not computer science. Okay.
Okay.
Our first concept is learning to type. Keyboarding, is it CS or not CS?
Oh boy. CS.
CS, it is not CS.
Ah, okay.
No, learning to type is about engaging with a tool that is created by someone else. It is not computer science, although it is very useful.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Our next question is spreadsheets.
Not
Are
CS.
Very good. You're getting the hang of this. Spreadsheets are not CS. They are a digital artifact. How about creating computational artifacts? CS or not CS?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to create computational artifacts. Okay. Solving real world problems with computers.
Not CS.
You know what? That's CS.
What? Ah.
Yeah, I know. Solving real world problems with the computers. Playing video games.
Not CS.
Not CS. What would be CS about this if we changed one word?
Making.
Making video games. Good. Playing video games is not CS. Reading and writing computer programs.
CS.
CS. Well done. Well done. Even though that says reading and writing in it, what we're reading and writing is computer programs. Fixing computers.
Not CS.
Not CS. Very good. Very good. That is IT, not CS. Reasoning about what computers can and cannot do.
Not CS.
That is CS.
See? Okay.
There you go. So thank you so much, Aaron, for that. Let's give Aaron a round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
You are a winner in our book. Wonderful.
It's a 50-50 split. There you go.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Normally, you know, you would start out by just reading people the definition of what computer science is. This is a more engaging activity, right? So how can we summarize how we can recognize what CS is and what is not CS, like digital literacy or IT or all the other things? Can anyone come up with a generalization?
Well, I think Sorry, this is Erin again. I think in a generalization, the difference between using versus creating,
Yes.
but where I got stuck in all of it was still like solving real world problem with the computer to me still was utilizing resources perhaps created by someone else.
Mhm.
So that's where I like stumbled on that one because I use the computer all the time. Doesn't make me, I'm not creating things necessarily. I'm using other people's applications.
Totally. This one does kind of, I mean, some of these do sort of have a gray area, right? So it's possible that you could solve a real world problem by just consuming a tool on a computer someone else used.
Right.
But if we're thinking about here's a real world problem, how might you formulate it so that it can be solved with a computer versus with not a computer? That's the kind of thing that then becomes computer science. We're thinking about how the systems of computation are interconnected, right? How we would use input and output, how we would create this thing and move it over to this thing, save it as data in the middle, right? It's in those subtleties that it becomes computer science.
Got it.
Great.
I also see like on the not CS, they're already set rules or parameters.
Yes.
If you do this, then this, but computer science, you can make it, you can change it. So even like the solving the real world problems, you can set functions like in coding. So you're setting the parameters. You're not
Diana, that is a wonderful distinction. So if it's not CS, that's so much about configuring, making choices within the bounds that the creators of the programs already gave you, right? So like making a Google Slides, right? You can configure things, but you can't actually create anything new that wasn't there. The computer science part of it would be not creating a Google slideshow using Google Slides, but it would be creating a new version of Google Slides or a competitor for Google Slides in which you would give people more options. Right? Excellent. Thank you so much for this. This was very helpful for me. Check your understanding and to communicate about what my passion is. I love computer science because you can make things that didn't exist before, that no one anticipated that you might be able to make. And I think especially knowing the difference between CS and not CS, and enabling people to be creators of computational artifacts rather than just digital artifacts is in my book a huge equity issue. Because when we're only giving students the access to configuring things that the creators of the app anticipated you might want to choose, we have to think about who are the creators of those apps. Like traditionally and overwhelmingly, the people who are writing the apps in the app store that we use are white men who have been raised in privilege with, a certain set of, culture and history and background and expectations. And the things that they think, that they're empowering us to do may not be in line with what we actually want to do. They might not serve the needs of our community. They might end up furthering oppression within certain communities. And so the reason I teach CS, especially to little kids, is because the next generation of app creators who is making stuff with technology should be able to, change the world and access that technology in a way that does not, is not biased against them. All right, we are far into this. We have talked a lot about freedom dreaming and equity and big ideas, but we've read our book and now it's time to make a thing. All right. I am prepared to do this with any age level and any software kind of thing. My default is Scratch though. Has anyone used Scratch? Veronica, a couple of people. Okay, Sunny, great. So I have a lesson prepared in Scratch and I have one prepared in Scratch Junior, which is on the iPad and is better for like K2. So if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to start on the Scratch version. And then I'm going to rely on you as expert teachers to kind of level this up or down, depending on what grade you actually teach. So I'm going to go in at like second or third. And then we can expand and talk about like how this would be differentiated. And like different stuff used and the prompts changed and everything. So here we go. I'm going to start us out with an example Scratch project, and then we're going to build our skills to make a similar one. So welcome to this project that I made. Its title is Serena Sees. The instructions say, press the space bar to see what Serena sees. And this is based on the book we just read, Serena Sees Her Footprints on the Moon. And there are some examples here for how we should make our own version. So we're going to leave that till later. And right now we're going to play the project and press the space bar. So we're going to play the project by pressing the green flag. And nothing happens when we press the green flag because we need to press the space bar. So on my computer, I'm going to press the space bar key and we can see what happens.
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
Tell me what you saw. Diana, what happened when I pressed the space bar?
It revealed the answer.
It revealed. Excellent. Diana, did you hear anything?
Yes.
What did it say?
It read the sentence, Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Did anyone else observe anything else changing? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to press the green flag and then I'm going to press the space bar.
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
She now has a robe on.
Oh, she's wearing a robe, just like Kentucky Brown Jackson. Right? Okay. Thanks. So that's a little mini demo of how I'm modeling how we use the tip and see strategy to help kids read and make sense of Scratch programs. I'm not going to go deep into that. But the idea is that we play the project, we talk about it first. And then we're going to go see inside. So if I click the see inside button, we can read the code that says why and how the project works. So the last observation I heard is that when I click the space bar, she wears a robe. So if I click the green flag here, she's going to switch the costume to her present costume. And then when I hit the space bar,
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
see how it did a glow around this block of code? When the space bar is pressed, it's going to switch her costume to the future costume in which she's wearing a robe. And then also it speaks this sentence out loud. All right. So we're going to work on the idea of present and future. And the present is going to be controlled by the green flag event. And the future can be controlled by a key press on your keyboard. And you're going to get to decide whatever key you want to press. That can be the future. All right, let's look at Ketanji Brown Jackson, the newest Supreme Court Justice. Let's look at the code on her. Who can tell me what happens in the present? When the green flag is clicked, what happens? Who do I see? Suzanne, can you tell us what happens when the green flag is clicked? Oh, okay, I'm going to go to someone else. No problem. Mrs. Covington, can you tell us what you observe? When the green flag is clicked, what happens to Ketanji Brown Jackson? You got this. Should we do it, Diana? Diana, you want to answer this question? There you go.
I see the coordinates are set to the side of the screen with the negative.
Yeah.
Well, just the coordinates are set.
Cool. So this is go to X and Y. So that's the place where she is. So this picture of
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, when I click the green flag, it goes to a position off the screen. Excellent. Diana, can you help us with what happens in the future when the space key is pressed?
I see the X coordinate changes. Well, both of them, X and Y.
X and Y. So
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
the position changes with glide.
Glide.
There you go. So here's one thing we'd like to do. This is the C portion of Tip and See where we explore all of the sprites and events. What do you think glide means, Diana? Can you give me a guess? Based on your
I think that's the verb, probably the verb.
the
So it's
verb.
gliding in. Yeah, it would maybe appear. You could probably change that action.
Cool. We're going to investigate what this number 1 means next to glide. So the way we investigate what numbers mean, a good strategy is to double and half. So change this number in some way and then see what the effect is. So can you give me another number besides 1? What's another number you want to test to see what the effect is?
You said double and half, so you're gonna have to double the glide and half one of the other?
No, I mean, so
Numbers?
you can use double as a strategy and you can use half as a strategy. We usually use them separately. So do you want to double or half this?
Let's double it.
Okay, so 1 doubled is 2. And so we press the green flag and Ketanji Brown Jackson went over here and I'm gonna press the space bar.
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
What was different?
Speed.
The speed, right? So this number must control the speed. Excellent. And using that strategy of seeing what's there, changing the number and observing the difference is all you need to teach kids how to code with Scratch, right? That is, I'm telling you, that is all you need. This one strategy of reading, changing, observing, and then giving a word to it, right? So we're using our observational skills and drawing on all of our language assets to then give this a name. That is how we can make meaning within Scratch using like our ELA practices. So basically, if you can do that, then you don't need to know any single other thing about Scratch. You can teach your kids to make projects using this, just that strategy. Okay. Thank you so much for Diana for that. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to remix this project and make our own version of it. So I'm going to do save as a copy. If you get this, you can hit the remix button if you're signed in. If you're not signed in, then you can just edit it directly, but it won't save, but that is fine. So I'm going to give you that project. And I'm going to ask you, what else might Serena see? So we've seen Serena sees her footsteps on the moon. Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court. Give me an idea for what Serena might see herself doing in the future. Oh, I sees it in. The link is not working. I will try one more time. Oh, that's it. I know. Because I gave you the copy one, not the normal one. I'm going to give you the correct, proper link here. Sorry about that. I did copy before I did share. All right, who's got an idea? Tell me in the chat or tell me in the, oh, Serena sees herself as a programmer. Serena sees herself as a doctor on stage playing professional sports. These are awesome freedom dreams. Excellent. So let's do one of those. I am going to let you at this point, like if you've got this and you're going to go and you can follow along, use that Scratch link to do your own version. Meanwhile, we're all going to do our own version for everyone else and talk here. And we're going to choose one. So I'm going to choose who wants to be my volunteer to co-code this with me. You don't need to know any single thing about computer science or Scratch. You're just going to be the person making the choices about like, you know, what color things are and, you know, what profession we choose.
Sorry, a question. So when the new link, did you want us to make a copy of it? So we're making our own?
Yeah, well, that new link, when you get it, when you edit it, it won't affect mine. So play with it however you want. You can destroy it. There's no biggie. You will not affect the real copy on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. All right, who wants to be my partner here to co-code this? How's it going? Tina, how you feeling? Oh, Vanessa, you good? You look like you have, yeah, good.
Yes, I'll do it.
Okay, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Great. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go back to Serena Sees. I'm going to open up the copy one though, so we don't mess with the one everyone else is playing with. All right. So we have had some ideas here in the chat. Programmer, a doctor, on the stage, professional sports. Which one of those resonates with you or something else? What's your idea?
A doctor.
A doctor. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to see inside here, and we're going to first look at the Serena sprite. I'm going to look at the costumes and see, I have a present, which is just normal, and I have a future, which is on the Supreme Court. How are we going to change this to be about a doctor?
Change her put a white jacket on her.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. And this part is not computer science. This part is art, where I'm going to put a white coat on her. And I'm just going to draw it. It's not going to be good, but it's going to be fine for now. Okay. Fine for now is good enough. Cool. White coat. We're probably going to have to change the background because it's white and it doesn't stick out. So I'm just going to go into the backdrop and I'm going to do a color there. And all of this is stuff like we need to give kids time to do and explore. And this is where the digital literacy is, right? Where we're creating things based on a, we're configuring. Oh, I like that. Okay. And I'm going to send this to the back. Okay. What do you think about Vanessa? Does that look
Love
good,
it.
doctor?
Love it.
Great. Okay. So for Serena, we have switch costume to present, switch costume to future. Let's just test that out. So in the beginning, when I press the green flag, what do I see?
Her t-shirt.
Good. And then when I'm going to press the space bar,
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
that's on the way towards doctor. What do we need to change next?
The slide. Who comes in as a doctor?
Who comes in as a doctor? Wonderful. Okay. So we're not going to use Ketanji Brown Jackson. So I'm going to delete that one. Can you think of anyone who you look up to as a doctor? Like anyone who's a particular person, or should we just Google people?
Oh gosh, I just think of my doctor.
Your doctor. Yeah. What about, let's draw from your identity. Can you tell me a little bit about the intersections of your identity?
Oh my goodness, that's fancy. What are the intersections of my identity?
Things like your gender and race and ethnicity
Oh.
and age and ability status and all those things. What's special about you?
Oh gosh. That's a really deep, let's see, I'm a woman.
Okay.
I'm educated.
Okay.
Have a family.
Okay. So let's say we're going to look for a woman who's a doctor, and anything else about her that you really want to see? Something about you. Maybe she wears glasses like you.
Sure, let's do glasses.
Okay. Let's check out these images.
Oh, there we go. Oh.
Do any of these images inspire you?
Let's see, maybe, I think because we're the woman in the black shirt, because she matches, with the character of the story, seeing herself.
Excellent. Yeah, she looks quite a lot like Serena too.
She does.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going to download this image. And we can talk about copyright and stuff in a separate thing. A lot of the times I'll make kids only use the Creative Commons licensed images. But for now, we're good. So I'm going to upload that sprite that I just downloaded. There we go. We've got this cool doctor now. I'm going to call this doctor. All right. Excellent. So let's test it again. We're going to press the green flag, and then we're going to press the space bar.
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
What should I change next, Vanessa?
Serena's the wording.
The wording?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a word sprite here. I'm going to change the costumes on that. What should this say?
Oh, under costumes. Okay. Serena sees herself as a doctor.
Cool. Move this over so we have nice spacing there.
Serena sees herself on the Supreme Court.
What do I change next?
Oh, on the Supreme Court. How do you change the sound?
The sound. So that's in Serena. We have this speak block. So speak.
Serena sees herself as a doctor. I have to add it there.
Let's try it.
Serena sees herself as a doctor.
Cool. Anything else? What was special about the Ketanji Brown Jackson picture on the old version?
The, oh my gosh, the robe. Should we give the doctor a robe or a jacket?
A jacket? Well, we already have Serena changing from her normal
Okay.
clothes to.
Serena sees herself as a doctor.
Can anyone remember what was special? What kind of animation or change?
We could have the image of the doctor glide in.
Oh, we can have it glide in. Excellent. Okay, so here's the thing. We need to think about in events. We're thinking about in the present, so that's when the green flag is clicked, and in the future, when the space key is pressed. Where should it be in the present, Vanessa?
Oh my gosh, off to the side.
Off to the side. So I'm just going to carefully put it with my mouse off to the side here. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go into my blue motion blocks, and there's a block that says go to. Look, and it's already filled in with the coordinates of where she is.
All right.
Yay, so we don't have to mess with X and Y coordinates at all.
Hmm.
Cool. When the space key is pressed, what should it do?
The doctor should glide back in.
Glide in. Where should it glide to? You tell me to stop when you think it's good.
I think that's good.
It's good. Okay, so then I'm going to go to glide. There we go. Glide 1 second too. And the number's already filled in for X and Y. Yay. Should we test it out? Present, future.
Serena sees herself as a doctor.
So cool.
Are you proud of that project, Vanessa?
Very proud. Yes.
You made all the
Thank you.
choices in that.
Wow. Love it.
Cool. Okay. Having done that little exercise, I'm going to save that and share it. And we're going to send out this project to everybody in the chat. I want to hear, did anyone else spend this time to make their own version? Anyone else go off book, off on their own, not watching us, making their own version? Phil, did you do that? No, you watched us. Anyone else? Heidi, were you off doing your own thing?
I was following along with you on the screen. Yeah.
Hey, was
You're
anyone
entertaining it, Emily. That's why we follow you.
That is okay. Did anyone start their own version of the project?
It took me a while to find an image, but not done yet.
Yeah.
I do though, Emily, I love how you model even doing this as whole group, right? Because if you have little ones, it's gonna be tough for them to dig right in and do this, but like modeling this whole group and giving everyone a voice and a chance to be part of it. And then, you know, I could see breaking that down maybe to pairs or, you know, 3 and, you know, kind of, you know, scaffolding the whole process. I really appreciate how you do that.
Thanks. Yeah, especially for little kids. Like when I go into kindergarten, we always start doing a whole class project first. And it's difficult on Zoom, but in a real class, I would have an order of like you, then you, then you, then you, right? In our like in our rug, right on our grid. And who gets to make the next choice. And then I'd make sure that everyone got to make at least one choice. And so together we'd have a project, and then I could say, okay, now you and your pairs, I love pair programming. It's great because you have one person to talk to, but 2 people is enough to make a decision. And your choice now is to go and make exactly what we made or make your own different choices, right? So I don't send kids off to make whatever you want, right? With no guide rails. I give them a default option, but then choice within that. And the things kids make can get completely wild, like stuff I would never anticipate, and therefore much cooler than I could ever, right, prompt them. But then they can use this to push it towards their own dreams. Maybe they want to use Serena, maybe they want to use themselves, right? I'm going to open this up. I want to ask you in this kind of lesson that we've done, where do you see, where do you relate to the ELA? And I'm going to ask you to put this on the Jamboard. So in the Jamboard, the prompt is, what ELA practices or standards did you recognize as we did that computer science lesson? Please feel free to put it in the chat here or unmute yourself or add it directly to the Jamboard. What parts of it felt familiar to ELA? Thank you, Vanessa. Sentence writing. There we go. We got sentence writing. Students need to recall what they heard or learned about in the story. Thank you. Sequencing. Wonderful. Sequencing is a big word in computer science as well as in storytelling. Thank you. Connects to real life. I love being in a digital literacy seminar where everyone is totally happy to put stuff on a Jamboard. Thank you. Students need to hear recall. Brainstorming. Wonderful. I'm going to put brainstorming in there. Listening, characters, collaboration. Thank you. Okay, so as you're all adding your things you're observing or relating to in it, I want to ask you, deep down, without judgment, without anyone else thinking about this, judging you and seeing you, do you think it's doable to have computer science engagement and activities, creation of computational artifacts, communicating and collaborating around computing? Do you think it's doable to do that within ELA? Let's do an up-down. Doable? Not doable. Doable? Doable? Oh, look at all those thumbs up I'm getting. Doable? Well, I have met my goals for today. Educational outcomes achieved. So thank you all for being here. This was wonderful. So we have a few more minutes left in this. And now that I've gotten kind of an overwhelming consensus that it's doable, how many of you now plan to do it? Right? Can you do one activity, maybe just one activity this year, where you read a book together, and instead of the diorama, maybe instead of the book report, instead of the draw picture, write a sentence, instead of whatever activity you would do with kids to synthesize around books, could we make a computational artifact instead? Excellent. You are welcome to use this Scratch project, this Serena sees, but you are also, there's tons of resources out there for you on the internet. So I've given you here these K2 resources in 3.5. In K2, I really suggest Scratch Junior. If you have access to iPads or tablets within your classroom, Scratch Junior is the version of Scratch that you don't have to read to do. So I'm going to real quick play this program for you. There we go. Oh, it has sound, so I'm going to turn it up. Someday I will walk on the moon. Did you hear that? Was that hearable? No? Okay. Someday I will walk on the moon. It said, someday I'll walk on the moon. And if you look real close, that's a picture of me in that astronaut suit. I put myself in there. Right, and look, I'm gonna tap on the astronaut, okay? Did you see that? So even the littlest kids, pre-reading, can engage with storytelling and freedom dreaming through Scratch Junior. And so I've put on that, the PBS Kids has a great curriculum around telling and retelling stories and solving problems. CS and SF has a wonderful curriculum around Scratch Junior for telling stories. And then Hello Ruby is a whole series of books, the Hello Ruby books, with activities around them, most of which are not even on the computer. They're talking about computational ideas on paper things and worksheets and kinesthetic activities. So those are great K2 resources. Also, there's this one-off if you get into code.org, there's a level where you can do spelling. So engagement with letters and sounds and sequencing letters in a word to solve mazes and stuff. So those are great ELA integration activities. In 3.5, you unlock a lot more. So I've put Serena Seas here, so you can always come back to it. Code.org has this brilliant module where you get to animate poetry with code, and it walks you through exactly how to do it. So you as a teacher do not need to know the computer science ahead of time, but you can integrate that anytime you're doing something with a poem then put them on code.org to animate the poem, to show that they've interpreted, right, the language, the images, the vocabulary, the intent of the poem. CS plus fables. If you are a third grade teacher and have a bunch of time to do a unit integrated into when you do fables, I actually helped UCSD write this curriculum. It's a 6-week every day, 4-day-a-week curriculum of which you can use bits of it. And it all relates to reading a fable, doing the tip and see strategy in Scratch, and it has videos, mostly of me, doing the explicit direct instructions so that you as a teacher do not have to. You can watch the video together and say, okay, so what should we do? And then CS First has a great set of modules, not only their ongoing storytelling one, like standalone module, but they have ones, one-offs around like characterization, dialogue, setting, right? So that you can go and pick just one activity at a time out of there. And if you're a 5th grade teacher and above, and your kids have already done some coding, so maybe not this year, but subsequent years, Unfold Studio is a way of coding interactive, like choose your own adventure stories. And it is brilliant. And the resources around it are growing. It's kind of difficult now because there's not a ton of curriculum, but watch this space for Unfold Studio. So that is kind of my presentation. I want to leave you with one question of reflection, which is this last one here is, where do you see opportunities to engage with CS in ELA? Finding opportunity is the most sophisticated way of understanding a subject. So I'm going to ask you, where are the opportunities in your ELA time? Or maybe if you don't do ELA primarily, maybe you're the math teacher, maybe you're the science specialist, whatever. Where do you see the opportunities to integrate computer science? Oh, Gina says she only teaches math. Totally. Computer science is traditionally integrated with math, and ELA is the new idea. So ELA is actually slightly harder and a bigger departure from it. Math should be easier. And I can share with you, I have a whole Scratch studio just of integrated math projects. They're for
Awesome.
like 3 through 8. Yeah. What grade do you teach in math?
TK through 3.
TK through 3. Okay.
And it's special education. So
yeah, so you 2nd and 3rd graders, there we go, coding and math class. And this is a thing that like, this is the Scratch version, but if you just Google just CS math class or coding and math, there's so many resources out there.
oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Francisca, do you feel like you have the information enough with this Padlet, or do you need any more resources or guidance?
Probably I need more because I teach virtual with preschool.
Ooh, with preschool. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say if you're in preschool, stick to Hello Ruby.
Okay.
And you don't need the physical book. You just want to go to the Hello Ruby website. And there's tons of free activities and videos and stuff to do with your kids around computing. And then for preschool, it's like, if you can get them on Scratch Junior on tablets, that's fine. But also you can actually, do the, the real standards with real goals. Like in preschool, your goal is exposure.
Yes.
And normal.
Exactly. Okay.
Great. Yeah, I see this comment a lot. I personally need more training on CS so that you can incorporate it into ELA. And this is one thing that I'd like to encourage you to kind of free yourself from. I think so much of computer science is culturally held within students, so that as adults, our instinct is to be the gatekeeper, to be like, well, if I don't understand this yet, they're not going to understand it. And we're kind of in a world where that's the opposite, right? We just have to unlock the opportunity. We need to say, okay, here's a new app. It's Scratch Junior. I don't know how to use it. Can you go and explore something about it and teach the rest of the class? And in that way, you can not only model your growth mindset and lifelong learning, but you can give agency to the students and show them that they can explore things on their own without necessarily knowing the answers or the direction it's going to go in. And that is such valuable practices for math and science and ELA.
Scratch Junior is only on an iPad though, so then not Chrome.
No, it's only on tablets. There
Okay.
is a way to get it on Chromebooks, but you have to go through your IT department. So if you want it on
Right.
Chromebooks, write to your IT department now.
But it's probably gonna be through that Apple Play thing. Like the Khan Academy for younger kids.
I mean, it's just an app currently. I don't think it connects to any of the other things, but that's the thing. Only your IT department would be able to deal with it on Chromebooks. It's not a website yet, but they're working on a web version.
Or I just give the time to go ahead and just learn on Scratch. I teach second.
Yeah, second can handle Scratch. They need a lot of language support though, because there's a lot of reading in Scratch.
Gotcha. Now, when you like, for me, when I considered this, I think how much richer it would be if they are working together in
Yes.
a collaborative situation, because then someone has an idea and it just seems like it's easier to both giggle when you make a mistake than when you think you're not being successful. But how much time, when I get this started, how much time is reasonable for 7-year-olds to play with it? Like, am I talking 20 minutes? Am I talking, okay.
Yeah, you're talking short like that. Like if you,
Like this, yeah, because that's like almost 3 times their attention span anyway.
oh yeah, no, I mean, but you've separated into 4 different activities. 1 is reading a book together, right? 2 is making the app together. 3 is them making the app on their own. 4 is them sharing their apps with everyone else.
Okay.
So if you do like 10 minutes for each of those, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to say like the collaboration, pair programming is actually a practice from the industry. Like every line of code you engage with Google, like their practice is to pair program. It's 2 people at one computer talking at the same time as they're coding. And so that speaking and listening is a huge part of how code is written, and should be honored and valued. And also translanguaging. I know I mentioned before how we're able to use all of the language assets of children, right? They don't need to know the academic vocabulary ahead of time. We can give that to them when they describe using their language, right? What the function is based on their observation. We say, oh, that's called an event, right? That's fine. But even like there's support for them using multiple languages, using their home language, using American Sign Language, using symbols and gestures and the way they interact with, culture and their bodies and memes and everything. Like all of those cultural assets, linguistic assets, can be brought to bear in computer science and serve to increase the access and the meaning, really. Because what we're doing is we're making meaning, we're communicating with a computer using symbols. And so much of that is how we figure out like how humans communicate to each other using symbols. And so that all of that should be activated in the brain when we're doing it. I encourage a Google search for translanguaging. It's amazing. Great. Well, people are dropping off and that is totally fine. I encourage you to check out those resources. Google me. I got a lot of YouTube videos on integrating into all sorts of different stuff. And basically just anytime there's anything out there, an opportunity, to let you learn more about computer science, if you can say yes and take that opportunity, then I will be happy. We are all, none of us have computer science completely figured out because it is a constantly changing and evolving field. I'm learning new things about it every day. So don't expect yourself to be the expert before you start. Yay. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Ashlyn. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Phil. It was wonderful to see you all. As you're leaving, I'm going to stick around for questions if anyone has any. But feel free to go and have a wonderful rest of your day.